All right, so I wanted to give a quick little video tutorial on how I am setting up these pieces in order to cut the mortise that is going to be on the underside of the top of these nightstands that is going to accept the floating tenon that is going to be then used to glue up these boxes. And so first of all, went ahead and put the tape down, scanned my surface, and now what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take out the bit that's currently in there, and I'm going to switch it out with the engraving bit, and I'm going to turn the engraving bit the wrong way so that there's just a post coming out, and that's going to allow me to reference the front face and the side to create a grid, which is going to let me lay this mortise out exactly where I want to lay it out. So I'm going to go ahead and change out the bit, and then we'll go from there. So now that I've got the other bit in, it doesn't have a cutter on it, it's just a round bit. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to go to the grid function. You can see grid here. And I'm going to do a new grid. So as you can see, once you hit the new grid function, it's wanting you to lower the bit. So you're going to come off of the edge just enough to where you can lower this down. So I'm going to hit the green button. I'm going to allow it to lower, as you can see, past the face. Now that you've got it down past your workpiece, you're going to go back into here and you're going to set that as your probe depth. Now it's asking you to do probe X, which is on the far right side. I'm going to go over to the right side. I'm going to push that. I'm going to push this up against the workspace, and then I'm going to reference it. You're going to do the same thing for the next one. You're going to move it over, and you're going to go to the left side, and you're going to do the same thing. Now for the last one, you're going to come off of the edge, which I'm going to not do this with my camera because it's going to get a little off balance. So I'm going to do this, but you bring it over to this far left edge and you come off of this edge and reference for your final point. And now, as you can see, you have your grid. You can see the grid is laid out on your workspace. And for the purpose of what I'm going to do, I need my grid to be a particular size. I need it to be 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to go in here, and you can see it doesn't have 1/16 of an inch as an option, but I know that 1/16 of an inch is 0.0625. So I'm going to do that. It's going to set my grid, and as you can see, if I come over here to the edge of my workpiece, gotta be careful with this because I'm using one hand. You can see on the screen, you can see the corner right down there in the bottom left. That is actually the corner based off of your reference points. So now I'm gonna lay out my cutting space. I'm gonna do this by going into Create, and I'm gonna make a rectangle. And I gotta start the rectangle. Now again, I'm gonna put this down, and I'll come back and show you because I need both hands to do this, but I'm going to go to the point where I need to start and get it started. And I wanted it to be at a 1/2 inch off of the outside, the x-axis. And you can see it says 0.5 inches. That's a 1/2 inch in from the left of my workpiece. And I wanted it 3/16 up from the bottom surface, so that's at the 0.188. And now I want this rectangle to be 3/8 inch thick, which is the 0.562. And then I just drag it down, all the way down. I'll show you, once I get down here, I want it to be at about 14.5 inches. So you can see this x-axis is going up. I'm gonna stop that at 14.5. You can see I'm getting close, I'm getting close. I'm gonna stop at 14.5, and I want it to be 14.5, and I want it to be 3/8 inch. So now that I'm where I want it to be, I'm gonna hit the place button right here. That's gonna allow me to drop that rectangle in place. Now that it's there, I can move, and that cutting area is gonna remain. And that is the mortise that I am going to cut out. 1/4 inch cutter back in. I'm gonna go back in and now go to the cut mode. And before I cut anything, I need to go to this Z-touch right here. The Z-touch is gonna allow cutter, again, to go back down and reference off of that face. Did you see that? I'll do it again so you can see it. Z-touch, here, Z-touch. It's gonna move down and it's gonna touch off. So now it knows the distance between the workspace or the work face and the point of that cutter. So now I've got this set. I'm gonna go in here and I want my first cut to be 1/4 inch deep. And I'm using the 1/4 inch bit. You can see right here, 0.25. I'm gonna go 1/4 inch deep with the 1/4 inch bit. I've already Z-touched, and now I'm ready to cut. So I need to come down to this area, and now you can see that I'm ready to cut. You see those little lines? That's showing me the direction of the cut. So the first pass is gonna go from left to right on the top. The next pass is gonna go from right to left along the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this cut, and I'll show you when I'm done. As you can see, it makes a beautiful cut, exactly where I wanted it to be. 1/2 inch from both ends, 3/16 off of the edge, and 3/8 inch wide. So now I'm gonna go back in here and I'm gonna set my next depth of cut for 1/2 inch. Now I'm gonna do 1/2 inch deep cut, again, 1/4 inch bit. And this is gonna be a 3/8 inch wide cut. And we'll go ahead and make this next cut and we'll come back. Now you can see I have completed this pass. Take a little 320 grit sandpaper, knock down those edges. As you can see, this is a beautiful, consistent mortise cut. And I've got a little piece over here, a little scrap piece that I cut that's not exact, but it's really close to 3/8 and fits perfectly.